Hi, I'm Mr. Rizzo here from the High School Counseling Office, and I wanted to talk a little bit about early decision and early action, those decision types. I know that many students are thinking about them right now, and if you're thinking about them, I think that watching this quick video is definitely appropriate. If you are 100% certain on one of these decisions, then kind of time is ticking. It is right now October 9th. You should probably be meeting with us in order to submit your early decision or early action stuff within the next week and a half. All right. And that should be an in-person or virtual appointment. So if you are already locked in on an early decision deadline or an early action deadline, you do need to be seeing your counselor pretty soon. Now, moving ahead, if you are considering it, all right, just a quick review. Here are the different types of decision programs that are out there. There's regular decision, and that's basically a defined deadline. Usually it's January 1st or maybe February 1st, and colleges wait until all of the applications come in, and then once the deadline is passed, they start reviewing those applications, and then they send notifications out. Then there's rolling admission. There are many schools, a lot of local schools are rolling admission, and what that means is basically there's no defined deadline. So they're going to review the applications on a rolling basis. So as they come in, they're going to be reviewing these applications. And, do you get bonus points for applying earlier? Not really, but, say they can have, I don't know, this is a hypothetical, but say there's 5,000 admit slots that they have. If you're applying, and you're one of 5,000, maybe your chances might be a little bit better than if you are applicant number 4,999 of 5,000 possible admits. So you get what I'm saying. It's definitely, I'd say, better to apply on the earlier side, but you don't need to rush in order to do it. Okay. Now, early action. Early action is just simply an accelerated timeline. It's exactly the same as regular decision. There is a defined deadline, and that's usually going to be November 1st, November 15th, sometimes December 1st. In fact, some schools even have multiple early action programs. So it's maybe early action 1, which is November 1st, and early action 2, which is December 1st. But whatever it is, it's just basically an accelerated timeline. You apply sooner, and then you find out sooner, and you can apply to multiple schools early action. I don't see a downside to applying early action, as long as, here's the big caveat, as long as you are ready. Do a good job on the application. Don't just sprint through the application, do kind of a garbage job just to meet the deadline, and turn in something that is maybe not the best reflection of who you are as an applicant. So make sure, if you're going to do early action, make sure that you've done a good job on your application and you're not just sort of rushing to get it through. Okay. Next is restrictive early action. That is the same as early action, but what they do is they make it so that you can only apply to one school early action. It's kind of intuitive, the restrictive early action title, but again, there's only a few schools that have restrictive early action. It's like Princeton, Stanford, I believe, a couple of schools of that type. All right, then the last thing, early decision. Now, early decision is a little bit different because it is a binding agreement, which means if you say that you are going to apply to a school early decision and you get in, then you are committing to go to that school. So that means if this is your top choice school, and you've done a very good search and you've looked at all the other schools that are out there and you have kind of settled on this one and you are sure this is the place that you want to spend the next 4 years, then maybe it's okay to apply early decision. But if you're kind of not sure, if maybe you're 51% sure that this is the school for you, early decision is probably not an ideal decision program or admissions program to apply under. You should really be sure that the school is for you if you're going to apply early decision. And in fact, you should also look at the financing of it. Now, early decision does have the caveat that you can back out of the agreement if the financing does not work and you're not able to pay. However, you really should go into things knowing what the financing kind of looks like. You should do the net price calculator on the school's website, and generally they're going to give you the financial aid package very soon after you find out if you got into the school. Okay. Let's see, next slide. All right. Advantages of early decision. So it really does kind of depend on the school. So if you're looking at very, very highly selective schools that offer early decision, well, maybe it does make sense. Maybe it does help your chances. But, if you're somebody who is going to most likely be accepted at the school anyway. You're able to look at what their GPA range is, maybe their standardized test range, and find that you're a very, very strong applicant. Is there a benefit to locking yourself in when you know you're going to get into that school? Probably not. All right. But again, if it's a very, very selective school, well, that's where maybe the odds of you getting in early decision might be worth it. All right. So I'm just going to take a look at a chart here. And this chart was compiled by Jenny Kent and Jeff Levy. I do not know them, but they are independent educational consultants. So they're private college consultants, and they produce this this chart every year, and to me it's invaluable. And what it does is you can see what the regular decision acceptance rate is for the most recent applicant class, and what the early decision rate is. And so if we were to look on this, and again, there's lots of schools on here, but what I really like is they do the ratio. All right, so if you've got a school like say Bard College, all right, right here. All right, this is 65% are accepted regular decision, and 89% are accepted in early decision. All right, it's a little bit better acceptance rate for early decision, but it's not huge. The other thing that you're going to want to look at is how much of the class is filled with early decision applicants. Well, for Bard, only 8.3%. So it's really not a very significant percentage of their class is coming from the early decision pool. All right. But if we were to look at something like just a couple of rows down, Bates, well, Bates takes the cake. This is a huge ED to regular decision acceptance ratio. So you can see they fill 70% of their class. So most of their class comes from the early decision pool. And then when you look at what their regular decision acceptance rate is, well, it's only 8.7%. That's very, very small. But their early decision acceptance rate is 42%. That is a whopping 4.9 times higher than their regular decision rate. All right, this is probably the highest number in this entire chart. Most schools, even the ones that are pretty selective, might end up with, say, a 3.1, so ratio. So this is easily the highest one, but this really, I think, does give you a pretty good sense of things. Now, does this mean that your chances are 5 times better if you apply early decision? Well, maybe not. What's happening here is they're looking for fit. Most colleges that have a ratio like this are probably going to tell you that are looking for students that kind of fit the profile of a Bates student. And that generally means that those students have really kind of self-selected. So they might be applicants that are a little bit more in line with what a school like Bates is looking for. And that's all fine and good. But, it's not going to me, it's not going to explain away nearly 5 times greater chances of getting in. It doesn't outweigh, 8.7% to 42%. So, I do think that in some instances, if you are locked in on a school, you really do have to think very carefully about whether or not your chances are going to be better getting in early decision than regular decision. So I would say if you have questions about this chart, you can find it with Jenny Kent and Jeff Levy's website, or stop by the counseling office here, and we'll be able to kind of show you what it looks like. All the counselors have access to this as well. So that's what some of the acceptance rates look like. And now to just kind of financial implications. So like I had mentioned earlier, you are definitely going to want to know roughly what the school is going to cost you, because you don't want to get into a situation where you're super excited to go to the school. You think it's going to be a tough chance of getting in, and then finally you do get in, and then at the last minute you realize, oh, I definitely can't afford this. Use the school's net price calculator to try to figure out if it's going to be a reasonable financial lift for you and your family. In fact, that's really one of the only ways that you can back out of the agreement that you have, the early decision agreement that you have, and that's if the school simply is not affordable for you. But really, that's homework that you should try to do ahead of time, because it's a spot for somebody else potentially, but then also for you, you don't want to have to scramble at the end. And that's kind of the other thing that I would say is you don't want to put all your eggs into one basket. And what I mean by that is if you're applying to a school early decision, yes, that is your top choice. And if you are accepted, you're expected to pull your applications from all your other schools. That's just kind of the best practice. And that's fine. However, a lot of times students will say, yeah, I'm going to apply to school X early decision. And then, yeah, I'll get to applying to all the other schools. I'll get to applying to all the other schools once I find out if I got into the school early decision. And usually the decisions are going to come out in the middle of December. So if you find out that you did not get into that school, then what you're really effectively doing is scrambling at the last minute to write supplements or send off your applications to all of these other schools. It's just not a great spot to be in. So what I would strongly recommend is do your early decision application for the school. If that's what you're choosing to do, make sure you do a good job with it, and then still do your other applications. I know it's really easy to say, I'm done. I just kind of want to put this off for a little bit, but get it done. Finish all the other applications, and then at the end, you're going to be able to either hit submit on them if you didn't get in, or you'll be able to pull those applications if you did, if you did get in. But that's, I would say, kind of a better way to go about it. All right. I think that is about it. Again, if you are considering early decision or early action, then you probably should be seeing your counselor and making sure that we have all the materials that we need to submit stuff on your behalf well before the deadlines, which again are usually November 1st or November 15th for early decision and early action. As always, if you have any questions, stop by and see your counselor. Have a great day.